So how's this little guy hanging you up every single day? Coming up right after
this. That's unexpected. I must say, you fight well. Now put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Okay, good afternoon, this is Lucky Lynx. I'm not gonna lie, I got back this week from Tibetan Dark Waters empowerment, and after spending all that time in the woods, in nature, it's been kind of challenging to get back into this and be doing videos and be back in this world. You see it when you spend a lot of time in nature. You come back to this world and you start to see how crazy it is. I mean, it really is kind of crazy. You see people rushing around, you see people investing their energy in things that aren't really giving them what they want. You see people struggling, and we spend a lot of time spinning our wheels and wasting our energy and putting it into things that don't really bear fruit and things that really aren't necessary. And you spend this time in nature and you start to go, what really are we doing? Why are we investing so much time in a world that is so disconnected from our natural selves? And I think that forms the basis of some of what I'm going to do over the next 3 videos. There are three poisons that run through our lives, 3 poisons that screw us up, 3 poisons in the Tibetan Bond teaching where everything goes wrong for humanity. They are the rooster, which stands for pride, the snake, which stands for hate, and the pig, which stands for ignorance. And I asked the Mexican Loteria what would make the biggest impact today. What could I do a video about today? Because really, I tell you, I'm having a time getting back into the swing of things. The Mexican Loteria said, talk about pride. So I'm going to tell you in as heartfelt a way as I can what I've learned about pride over the years, from readings and from my own experience. And I wrote down a couple of things to keep on track and to keep as notes to keep on track, and so that I stay focused on the good points here that maybe will give some gold, I hope. These I've seen over and over again as a source of problems in readings that I've done for people, my own challenges, and even when I was teaching, I saw this stuff happening again. The first one I'd like to talk about is we don't trust ourselves enough. We really don't trust our own heart, our own abilities, our own talents to shine through, right? And when we don't trust ourselves enough and we don't have this quiet sense of ourselves, a quiet sense of our own power, a sense that we're really coming from who we really are, and trust that, we do all sorts of weird things that relate to pride. Pride results in us cutting off other people, wanting to put people down so that we look bigger, wanting to brag about what we've done, wanting to speak loudly when other people are around so that they can hear us, wanting to seek accomplishments, things like that. We don't trust our own ability, our own light to shine through. So we do all these things to sort of shout, you're not paying attention to me. But when we really are being who we are, it's real easy to be who you are and trust that it's going to shine through naturally, and it's going to have the effect that it needs to have. But instead, we want people to notice, we want people to pay attention, we want people to appraise us, we want people to applaud us, we want people to notice how much we've got, how much we've accomplished, how great we are. I think Facebook and Instagram and all of the social media was built with this particular poison in mind. So the next one I got is we get in the habit of believing that if we just get this job or this thing or that accomplishment, that we will be better. So we keep thinking outside of ourselves that if I just get this job, if I just get this house, if I just get my kids in this school, if I just, everything's outside of ourselves. If I just get that, then it'll be better. So this leads us to wanting more, constantly wanting more. So this is also known as, the rooster is also about greed. It's about pride and greed, because greed and pride kind of go together. If I just get this, if I just have that, if I just have that deck, if I just have that accomplishment, if I just go on that vacation, if I just have that car, if I just get that job, everything will be okay. But then what happens is it's like all of his stuff relating to pride is like a cup with no cup that has no bottom. No matter how many times we fill it, it's going to end up empty. Because the stuff that really matters doesn't come from pride. And when we're prideful, it's because we're feeling insecure of ourselves, really. Because we can't just be quiet and rest in who we are. Because we feel like, well, we've got to be getting more, we've got to be showing more, we've got to be doing more, we've got to be controlling more. We got to be attaining more. And I think that it's really important that we seek to improve and we seek to reach our goals. Sometimes we tell ourselves, if I just get that, if I just get that, if I just get that, then everything will be okay. And what happens is we end up then in a constant state of lacking. We can never be satisfied with what we have because the next thing out here is always the thing that's going to make it better. And then we don't trust ourselves, we turn on ourselves, and we end up not liking ourselves. When we don't like ourselves, we don't really like the way that feels, so we do all sorts of weird, crazy things to try to convince other people that we like ourselves. And then people get this weird feeling off of us that we're not genuine, because really, we're not being genuine in those cases. We want acknowledgement. We often find the need for acknowledgement, and that pulls us from ourselves. So let's say you're going down a road where you're genuinely, let's say that maybe at your core you have a certain talent or gift, and let's say that your talent or gift is writing, because I used to see this a lot when I was teaching and when I was taking classes. Someone really felt that their gift was communication or writing, or they wanted to get stories out there, right? So what would happen is they'd start telling the story from who they really are or what they really wanted to tell. People didn't respond the way they wanted, but if they went off into another direction, kind of a weird direction that kind of was outside of themselves, that kind of pandered to what people wanted, they'd start to get praise and acknowledgement. And instead of saying, hey, no, I know who I am, and I really need to express this because this is really what's coming from my heart, they'd start trying to express themselves in a way to please other people. I want you to think about that. Pride as a way to sort of denigrate yourself to please other people. It happens all the time. When we're little kids, we're being who we are, doesn't get attention, but when we do something that mommy or daddy wants us to do, or the friends want us to do, or the teacher says, really good, now we're going off in a direction that leads us away from ourselves. And in some cases I've seen, even when I was teaching, that led people down a road where they were doing something that was completely opposite of who they were, just because teacher said, or mommy or daddy said, okay. I had students all the time that were going to be doctors that did not want to be doctors. They hated medicine. They didn't want anything to do with it. But mommy and daddy said, I will love you if you are a doctor. Pride. So they got off of who they were for the appreciation and the praise of someone else. If I just get that praise outside of myself, it'll be okay. Then I could be a doctor. I could be proud that I'm a doctor. But what that need for acknowledgement did was it actually took them away from their heart. I had a student once, she was brilliant. She wrote romance novels. She wrote romance stuff, and it was non-traditional. So in the end, the woman would kick the guy's butt and show him, who was on top. They were great. She was hysterical. She was a great writer, but she was going down to be a doctor because that's what her father wanted. Her real gift was to empower people through laughter. Instead, she was going to be a doctor, and she was miserable. She didn't want to do it. But that need for acknowledgement took her away from who she was. Another one we got is, pride forces us to want others to act and behave in the way that we do, because it makes us feel justified, it makes us feel validated, it makes us feel real. So we get uncomfortable when people don't eat the way that we do, or speak the way that we do, or have a different schedule than we do. Or you see this all the time when someone's got a job and then they quit and they go in another direction. Well, everyone at the work goes, well, why are you doing that? Because they're leaving, they're going to do something else. Well, I'm going to go follow my dreams, when everyone at the job goes, you can't do that. What are you going to do about security? They try to control them, they try to pull them back in, they try to get them to act and behave as they do and believe as they do, because it validates them. So our pride often gets us to try to get other people to believe and act and follow whatever path it is that we follow, because it makes us feel like we're validated, it makes us feel okay. We want to own the whole situation, the greed. because it makes us feel like we're okay then. Well, if they do it my way, if I'm right, well then everything's okay. See? Another one is we think in limited possibilities and then we diminish ourselves. I see this constantly with people. They want to go out and they want to try something new, but they say, well, but it's already been done. People have already done that. That may be the case. It may have been done by someone else, but you haven't done it yet. You see, that's the difference. Years ago, when I was going to write a book on graveyards in Chicago, well, there were several people in Chicago who had already written graveyard books, and they were bestsellers, but everyone knew these people. And I could have stopped there and I could have said, well, they've already done, why would I do it? Well, I did it because I wanted to do it, I had to do it, and I wanted to express that part of myself. And I wanted to have the adventure myself of actually going to these places, having these experiences, and writing the book about it. And it was a great experience that taught me a lot of things and set a lot of things in motion for myself that wouldn't have been set in motion because if I'd have said, hey, they did it already. So our pride tells us that, okay, well, I can't do it because someone else is already doing it. There's not enough room. I have to be the one and only one doing it. I have to be the big acknowledgement, the big one in the field, the big one who's done it. I have to be the only one. There's not enough. There's me and no one else. When we do that, we diminish our own possibilities. Well, maybe there's 10 other people that have done what you wanted to do. Maybe there's 1,000,000 other people who have done what you've wanted to do. But when you say, if I can't be the only one to do it, well, then there isn't enough, well, then you've just cheated yourself on a whole lot of possibilities. You've just cheated yourself on the richness of this experience that you could have, and something that could actually help you find who you are and make yourself happy. Parents, this one I see all the time, and I saw this all the time when I was teaching. Parents who think they own their kids, and they forget that their kids have their own lives. They decide what they want their parents to do. They decide how they want their kids to think. They decide how they want their kids to behave, especially when they're adults. They decide who they want them to be with, and they forget that their kids have their lives. And the pride in that case is well, I made you. This happens all the time. It's like, I'm your mother, I'm your father, therefore you have to be what I want you to be. And in a lot of cases, it creates a great deal of misery on the kids, on the side of the kids who want to be something else. But in a lot of cases, they don't even have the guts to tell their parents, much less go against the parents who've decided, I own you because I made you. And that's really not. And I always say this. When it comes to that one, when people are always like, well, I'm trying to go against my parents' wishes. And I said, look, if you went to an amusement park and you went through the turnstile to get in the amusement park, would you cling to that turnstile the whole time you were there and forget all the other rides in the amusement park? Well, I can't go on all the other rides in the amusement park because I have to stay at the turnstile and keep going around and around and around in it. Your parents were the turnstile through which you came into this space. This is an amusement park and there's a lot of other rides out there. To cling to the turnstile would be absurd. Why did you go to the amusement park to begin with if you were just going to cling to the turnstile? And the last one I've got written down is, we fear, pride causes us to fear that if those around us change, somehow it will invalidate us, or somehow it will make us obsolete. So we get in a position where someone around us wants to change and we freak out. Oh my God, what are you going to do? Am I going to be invalid now? Am I not going to be in your life? Are you going to find someone who's more important? Or are you going to find something that's more important than me? And that's the pride, thinking that we are the be-all, the end-all of this person's life. Now these things, all of these things lead to some very tricky situations. Things like, I'm better than you. Things like the Messiah complex, where you think that nothing can be done and everything has to go through you and only you. The need to control everyone and everything. All of this pride stuff, you see, branches out in so many different ways that would be impossible to tell them all here in just a short video. But I've given you a little taste on how this particular poison, the rooster, surfaces in our lives and how it creates difficulties for us. The one thing that I've learned that counteracts this is generosity. Another thing that I've learned that counteracts this is appreciation. If you use appreciation, it kind of cuts this. If you use generosity, it kind of cuts this. Generosity cures lacking. Generosity cures greed, the feeling that there's not enough. Usually when you give to someone else, more comes in for you to be able to give it to others. And usually when you show appreciation, all that pride stuff that's in your heart falls away, because there is no room for that kind of pride when you're showing appreciation for someone else or something else. So consider this as you're going through your day, and those of you who do readings, consider the effect that this poison is having on them, and what it's having on you, and how it's affecting your life and your experiences, and what you could do to change that. I've given you 2 little remedies, but there are a lot of other things you can do as well. I'm Lucky Lynx, as always, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. I hope this little bit of experience that I've had gives you some insight into your lives and into your experiences and helps you make some changes if you choose. If you'd like to get a reading from me, 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com. If you'd like to take a class with me, I've got one on how to read the Mexican Loteria. I've also got one on how to read playing cards, one on how to read the Grand Tableau Basic, one on how to read the Grand Tableau, or the Lenormand Basic and the Lenormand Grand Tableau. I got 2 classes there. I got one in a basic how to read tarot cards. I've got one in an advanced intermediate how to read tarot cards. I've got one on how to read crystal balls. If you'd like to take any of these classes, contact me. I'll tell you how to get into them. I can set you up in any one of those classes as early as today, and you can get started right away in learning to divine and learning to get a whole new set of understandings and experiences about the world around you. All of these classes I've designed to help you to gain insight into the world around you, to help you gain a deeper understanding, which is the cure for the second poison we're going to talk about tomorrow, which is ignorance, which is represented by the pig. For those of you who've donated, thank you so much for donating. I am very grateful and I appreciate you guys for all that you've donated. And if you like these videos and you want to donate to help keep them coming, well, I'm going to put my PayPal and my Venmo below. Again, thanks to all of you, and I appreciate all of you. So go out there today, watch for how pride shows up in your life and in the life of those around you, and ask yourself, can I give some appreciation? Can I apply some generosity to cure this situation at the moment?